Hello again, welcome back. We've been looking at lots of different uses for melodic minor modes. Previously we've looked at the melodic minor scale itself, we've looked at Lydian dominant, and we've looked at Mixolydian flat 6. Now we're going to look at Super Locrian, and it's the last one that's particularly useful. I mean, you should get to know these all over the neck so that you can treat them all as the same scale, and you can find them at any point when you're trying to solo with them. But we're going to look at just this Super Locrian here, and you can probably see that it's a mode of melodic minor because if you start on this note rather than the bottom note, then you basically just have a melodic minor scale. So, you know, if you start on the second note of that shape, you have. But we're going to take it a note down. So what we're looking at really is the 7th mode of melodic minor. So it sounds like this. It's really quite sinister sounding, I guess. And it has basically all the outside tones that you would expect in a dominant chord inside it. So it's got a root, and it's got a flattened 7th, and a major 3rd, but it's got a flattened 9th, or a flattened 2nd. It's got a minor 3rd in it. And the major 3rd is actually a flattened 4th. But to all intents and purposes, it's a major 3rd, especially when you're thinking about soloing over dominant chords. What it really typically gets used for is over 2-5-1s, minor or major. And we'll just quickly look at a minor 2-5-1. So a minor 2-5-1, if we're thinking of this Super Locrian scale coming off of the 5 chord, then really it's a G7 altered. So the altered tones are, we have a root, dominant 7th, major 3rd that you would expect in a dominant chord, sharp 5, and a flattened 9th. And the reason that these altered tones get incorporated is because it adds more tension before it resolves. So the 2 chord, if that's the 5 chord, then the 2 chord would be a D, half diminished, then a minor 2-5-1, to this G7 altered, and then you would resolve on a C minor. So I'm just going to put that in and demonstrate how the Super Locrian sounds over the top of that chord. So I'm just going to play over the altered chord. And then resolve to the C minor. Dominant chord. So you can hear it's kind of outside. So it's how you get that moving outside, creating more tension, and then coming back in and really resolving the tension sound. And it sounds typically jazzy, basically. So you could look at it like that, or you could simply look at it. A good way in with this is to think about ways of approaching different modes of this Super Locrian, or modes of the melodic minor that it comes from. So over the 2 chord here, because it's a half diminished chord, you would play a half diminished scale. So you would play the 7th mode of a major scale. So you would play Locrian over the top of that. And then, basically this shape is perfect for moving into if you've just played eighth notes on that line. This is how we would drill these things in and get used to being able to phrase them. Just play them in straight eighth notes, or swung eighth notes, and just focusing on finding ways that they overlap with each other. So there's the Locrian. Now we're actually on this note right here, just now. So if we then run down through there, what we're doing is we're playing an octave of Lydian dominant, coming off of the Super Locrian. So it's coming back to one of the ones that we looked at before. So you go... And you can hear that that's giving you all the tension, and it's landing a semitone above the root of the 1 chord. Yeah, so it's quite a nice outside-inside kind of thing. So that's a good way basically to start practicing that. And then remember that you have your modes of that, so if that's Lydian dominant, then surely you can play mixed Lydian flat 6 over the, you know, a tone up basically. And you'll get the same sound. So that's one use for Super Locrian. Another typical use for Super Locrian is when you go from the 1 chord to the 4 chord in blues. So you're basically going to take it a little bit outside and then bring it back in and resolve on the 4 chord. So what you would have is... Okay, so all we've got there is the 1 chord and the 4 chord, and I'm just going to demonstrate that you can use that from the root. You could play A Super Locrian, so I've just played A7 and D7, and just for a standard 1-4 in the blues. And you could use A Super Locrian to climb up and move into the D, because it gives you all that outside extra tension before you resolve again, basically. So you could go... So you can hear that that's going to give you that really strange, it's floating out and then it comes back in and resolves itself. It just makes it a little bit more interesting. So. So, not really giving you enough of the actual chord progression there for you to get a full flavour of that. So, let's layer up a full blues. So you can hear that giving you extra tension and then resolving. So this is two pretty standard uses for that Super Locrian mode, and we'll look at more in future lessons. Thanks very much for watching.